Hey everyone, welcome back. We weren't gone that long, but we're back. Andy and I for the BetSports Golf Fortinet Championship betting preview. Andy, how you been, my friend?
Good. It has been a nice respite
It has.
from golf. Honestly, like 2 weeks of just not worrying about firing away at every Friday night, and because I do daily betting too, and that is
You crushed matchups in tournament
that
all
is
season
it
long.
is yeah. The round four, I went back and looked. I did not do well on round fours for some reason, so I have to look at maybe my process has changed, or maybe it just wasn't a big enough sample, but. Yeah, the Friday night, Saturday night, Thursday night. I sound like the Apollonia. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, but doing those every night. That was nice not having that, but I did miss it. I love, like you said, I love betting matchups. I love watching that. I love watching some golf on Sunday, and honestly, I love not watching my matchups on Sunday. I love my matchups to be done on Friday. That is the best feeling. I had a couple tournaments, and they weren't all winners, but I've had several tournaments where all of my season or 72 hole matchups were done on Friday.
That's great.
Honestly, sometimes it's a relief. Like, fucking, I lost one, whatever. It's just, let's not sweat these for the weekend. Did not have that at the end of the season where the no cut events. It's like, shit. It's like he's leading by a lot, but he's got to play two more rounds. It's like you just never know. All kinds of wacky stuff can happen. But we're back to normal golf. Full field here, 156. Normal cut event. Not the greatest of fields, but the beautiful backdrop at least.
Oh man, we are in. If you're over at the Catalina wine mixer, you can just kind of roll right over to Silverado in the North Course and take it in. It is a great, aesthetically pleasing event. If you happen to be, maybe want to put your multi-screen situation on Sunday and you want to watch a little final rounds along with your football action, Silverado is definitely beautiful to take in. Let's talk that at the top. How, because I know, you and I are so, both from a financial and time standpoint at this time of the year, so invested in the NFL. Does it change the way that you're going to bet the swing season because of the time that you need to allocate to in-season matchups, or how do you plan on approaching? We'll start with this event. And do you have a thought around how you're approaching the swing season in general?
So it's funny too. I talk about having to do daily matchups later in the week. It's not a long process. It's just like it's not during work hours. Sometimes it's like 9 p.m. you get lines.
Correct.
That's the pain of that. Like legitimately Thursday through Sunday, I don't do much with golf. I'm prepping for the next week if I'm doing anything. I have my numbers in place already. I'm making slight adjustments. You know what? It's the same fucking thing for football. I made 4 bets already for the NFL. I might make 1 or 2 more, but like 90% of my NFL is like figured out by Wednesday. So it's just a heaping helping of Monday through Wednesday being an absolute shit show for me still, and then addition to the NFL. But it is nice. Like the same kind of thing goes where once you hit, I just have this feeling of relief wash over me when I leave work, when I'm done with the deep dive on Wednesday nights. Like Thursday mornings are just so nice for me. Just like, everything's in place. I just have to watch it. I'll hatch out now. So kind of the same thing, but I'm still doing prop stuff on Thursdays. I'm still doing DFS once in a while. So NFL is definitely going to take up some time here, and that's fine. It's my favorite damn sport.
Yeah, and again, it takes definitely a large chunk of the betting budget as well. So yeah, I'm not sure. Like I feel like this week I might be lighter on finishing position bets because that's typically you're a big matchups guy. I like getting in the finishing position streets. I might stay with a very Feinberg-esque betting card where I'm spending a lot of my money at the top and just trying to pick outrights. Jeff will be back periodically. We'll have Jeff in the swing season, similar to Andy and I. Like he likes the respite of not having to mess around with this season. He'd rather just sweat his Chargers injury reports and go from there. We'll have Feinberg on Move the Line on Thursday before Thursday Night Football to talk about his Chargers leading into the Chiefs game. But he'll be popping up here with Andy and I periodically, which will be enjoyable. But yeah, I think I'm going to take some shots at the outright board and go from there. We'll see how it goes. Depends on the field. I don't know. I haven't really sussed it all out yet, but so far just a couple outrights, and then we'll shake it out from there. Didn't get to really take a victory lap on the late season Rory win. Rory coming from behind in a big way on Sunday, the Tour Championship to lock in a W.
Yeah, we didn't do shows the next week, so you should take that now. Not only because anyone who does bet the Tour Championship knows there's usually two markets. There is who wins this tournament, and then also you can just bet who has the best 72-hole score, which is usually who wins the tournament. Different with the staggered scoreboard.
Yep.
Rory won both. Like Rory really did truck, especially on into the weekend. Yeah, kudos to you. Finished the season with a win. I hate how the wraparound season works. Like
I know.
this is technically the start of the season. It's I don't know my season, and every time I've tracked golf, it starts with like the Sony or the Tour Tournament of Champions, whatever. Yeah, the TOC, whatever the first one is. I go calendar year. I don't give a shit. That's how I track my golf.
Well, we'll have that soon, right? With the new like this.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, that's coming down the road. This is probably I think this is the last of it, right? Where we have this season. It's going to be calendar year, essentially January to August, which is going to be really nice too. So, yeah, I almost won both markets because my boy and defending champion here at the Fortinet, Max Homa, lost the no starting strokes market by a stroke to Rory in that one. So I almost had the double dip outright, which would have been a really good way to end the season. But getting two in the playoffs with Will getting home finally, and then Rory with a nice little comeback on Sunday was a nice way to round out the season because we like to be at least close to even, if not a little bit above on the outrights. You know, those are a little bit more sexy and fun. We like to pick those, but obviously not where we grind in season. Reminder to folks too, we're still $1 a month at betspertsgolf.com. So September, October, November, December, all the swing season stuff. You can get all the tools, all the premium articles, everything we have going on over at betspertsgolf.com for just $1. Cannot beat that $1 a month.
Yeah, I'm currently working on a pretty nice tool where basically custom model building is what we're working on right now on the site. Deep into that with the development team, working on being able to, we hope to eventually have it where if you like to run a certain type of model every week, we hope to eventually have it where you can just save that. And you can say, I want these things. I want this preset stuff to go through, except with the current form stuff, and just pop that through and be able to run it each week. So hopefully that is some of the end goals, but it is a lot of work. So working on that while we're betting. And then, the Fortinet, if you haven't yet and you're not a member, you can go check, or if you are a member, you can check it out. If you're not, like Noonan said, $1 a month, you get Ron's full course preview. It is a long course preview, even for a swing season event. He doesn't take the week off.
No.
And a lot of good notes in there, but it is basically in so much it's a short course. It's an easy course. It's a resort course. And when we call it a resort course, that means like when it's not hosting this event, it's not like Augusta where, oh my God, it's, you'd have to win a chance to play it. It's just people who go out there for the weekend are playing this course the other 51 weeks a year. So it is easy. It is going to have soft, receptive greens. It's short. None of the par fours are even long. The par fives are all reachable in two. Yep. Honestly, the toughest part of this, and it's not the rough. The rough is going to be cut at about 3 inches, going to be easy. We've seen that, and Ron pointed that out in this article in several spots. The difference between landing on the fairway and landing on the rough is not a big difference for greens and regulation percentage. One of the easier events of the year as far as hitting out of the rough. People have even been quoted saying, I don't care if I spray it a little. I'm pinning it with the one, and wherever it lands, I'm probably going to find the green anyway. So easy event. You've seen bombers win it. You've seen shorter players win it. And it is, and Ron even points this out too, is how cliche second stroke golf is. But boy, howdy, it is second stroke golf. It is just finding a spot to score. The average win here is like 17 under. So it's not the best field, but I still think you're going to see some cream rise to the top because you need to find someone who can run hot here. Putting is a little tough, and then around the green can be a little tough as well, as there's some deeper runoff areas.
Yeah, we look to some of these guys that are familiar with this Northern California POA. It's not a great card, but I think the top of the board is not terrible. Max Homa defending champ here at the top, heading into the President's Cup as well. Also Hideki Matsuyama currently in the field, so we know how that can go sometimes with Hideki. Corey Connors, Matt McNeely, Sahith Theegala. There's some secondary guys, I guess, that are maybe thrust to the top of the board here. But talk to me about the top of the board. Any shots for you here? Anyone catching your eyes? I know you're kind of still trying to get a feel for numbers and what you're wanting to shoot at.
Yeah, it's been a slow build up to actually making any bets here, but I mean, Corey Connors, Max Homa, those numbers are short, but they're also probably the best players here.
Yeah.
Like I get Matt, and I don't know what to feel about Matsuyama. Like I saw him at the 3M later in the season. I wonder where his head's at. Like he absolutely just didn't want to be there. I don't know about him sometimes as far as does he even care. There's still the slightest possibility that he's just holding out on moving to live until after the President's Cup. So he might not be in the best headspace. There's no chance I'm going to be betting on someone like that. But at the top of the board, it's going to be tough for me to take a swing at any of those guys. I'm probably going to be pretty light on actual outrights this week. I might go look at the Italian Open instead. There's a better field over there. But yeah, Homa at 17, I get it. Hideki at 20, no chance. Connors is actually the favorite at bookmaker right now. I like him. I certainly can't bet him at that number in a full field event. Mav McNeely is heavily tipped across the space. I'm not quite there. Localish kid. I get it with the West Coast stuff, but not at 25. So I probably start in that Pendrith, Thigala area, maybe even some Davis Riley, just over 30. Those are guys that I'm looking at today. Like I said, I haven't made a bet yet because I'm getting into the swing of things with dealing with football and everything around that. But those three are kind of on my short list. I did look heavily at, guys who are just going to create scoring opportunities. Like, again, and maybe driving accuracy isn't the most important thing, but good drives gained, which means doesn't matter where the drive lands. It could have landed, in a tree in a bird's nest. If you find a green in regulation, it counts as a good drive gained. Just looking for people who the combination, basically it's people who know their game and then execute it. Like even if they, because this is a little bit of shot making as far as off the tee shot, your first shot, finding a spot where you're comfortable taking that second shot into the green. And it's going to be different for different guys. Some guys are absolutely going to just hit out of their shoes and try to have a 75-yard, second shot. Some guys are going to aim for certain areas. There's really all the bunkers are set up. It's a resort course. The bunkers and the fairways are set up for duffers like you and me. Like even the short guys are going to take most of the fairway bunkers out of play. It's just really going to come down to who can execute the first couple of shots, find an opportunity, and do some scoring, especially in the par fives. So I weighted par five scoring heavily. I weighted just finding greens, just guys in good form. So it's kind of a mashup near the top of where I put my model. Guys like Mark Hubbard are higher up based on a few things.
Yes.
It's not the greatest at Lipsky, JJ Spot. These are big numbers on some of these guys, 100-to-1 shots, but they are people I'm probably not betting. I am going to use them in some matchups. Top of the board, like I said, Pendrith, Davis, maybe Sahith, but he's getting some steam, and his numbers getting a little too short as well.
I do agree with you that like Homa, and I think you said 17. Most domestics, there's a 16 at points bets. It's 10 at DraftKings. So I think in the low mid teens on Homa is probably a decent look, in my opinion, if you're going to the top of the board. I just think I'm biased. I bet Homa blindly for like the last 2 months, but I think like just the quality of golfer there is a little bit better when you talk about, the unpredictable nature of Hideki and all that goes on there. I think Homa should not be I think there should be a wider delta between Homa and, a Mav McNeely, for instance. And in most books, there's not. So that would kind of be the way I would go if I wanted to go at the top. My first at the top, though, was Cam Davis. I just like the way the kid's playing and sets up nice when you look at some of the ways that, to your point, like there's just such a huge plurality of second shots from like these really small wedge buckets, within like the 75 to 150 range. And Davis is really good in all those buckets. Like I have him second in this field in the last 36 rounds in proximity from 100 to 125. He's top 10 from 125 to 150. That works well. He's going to give himself a lot of opportunities, and birdie looks, as we know, that matters here quite a bit too. So Cam Davis, I think there are 33s, 34s out there, or there were yesterday. Looks like there's still some 33s out there. So circa Bet365, even Rivers having that out there too. So Davis is kind of my preferred play at the top in the mid 30s. I think the one thing to your point too is you do have a variation of guys that perform well here. And I think looking at how they play in these proximity buckets makes a lot of sense. Like you referenced Ches Reavie. Ches has a nice history here. He's going to be a top 5 guy in good drive percentage. He's going to be finding fairways and things like that. He's probably going to be from like a proximity range further to the back, right? We're not going to see him hitting a lot of like 75-yard wedges into these holes because he's laying back a little bit in the fairway. So he's going to be in the longer proximity ranges. So I think kind of thinking about looking at golfers in a little bit more of a granular fashion of knowing like, okay, this guy's a little bit longer, so I probably want to lean to the shorter proximity buckets for him versus someone like Ches who's going to lay back a little bit, probably going to be more into like the 125, 150, maybe a little bit longer thing. So I think looking into some data on that is going to be able to help you make a little bit more of a point. Sometimes I think we can get lost in the sauce a little bit and get too granular in some of the stats and not look at some long-term stuff. But I think sometimes with the way this course is too, I think you're going to be looking at things a little different. I don't think we should be looking at Ches in the same way we're looking at like a Cam Champ, Taylor Pendrith, or a Cam Davis in terms of like proximity and approach.
Oh, that's why I kind of hate proximity, because it's not something I bring into a lot of the modeling or
it can be super noisy.
Looking at stat. And again, like you said, if you want to use it, you need to understand the golfer you're looking at first.
Yeah.
Like there are going to be the bombers who are going to be way down there, and their proximities are going to be a lot shorter. But you can't say, well, I'm going to look at proximity 75 to 125 for these two guys and use like, Griot and then a bomber. It's just, Griot's going to be hitting from, I don't even know if he's in the field. I just bring him up. I just bring him up every time I need a shorter hitter.
I like him this week. I have not bet him, but I like him. But
yeah, he's better with his irons and it evens out. But it is something, look at that, because when you're hitting, from tee to green or tee to finish there, it is a chain. Everything is affected by everything else. So it's like, hey, this guy is great off the fairway, but this is probably a course where he's spraying and he's going to, it doesn't apply this week because the rough is not penal at all, but always look at that. Like what is this guy, what's his mean outcome off the tee, and how does that affect his second shots? Because it is going to change a lot about, what kind of scoring opportunities the guy's going to have. And in the end, it's all scoring opportunities, especially at a place like this, and not full on, 30 under birdie fest, but halfway there. I mean, it's going to be some heavy scoring. And to your point too, Homa probably is the class here. Homa and Connors, a little uncertainty I still have about Matsuyama.
Yeah,
if he cares and he plays well, I mean, he's a former major champ. He's just as good as anybody.
6th year last year.
Still not betting him. And then
I agree.
To your point, I can get behind Davis a little. I have some question marks around his greens and regulation stuff, but I have a 38 on him. I don't hate that. Griot, right, a little further down, Griot and Tom Hoagie. Some guys I also looked at as well. Someone in one of my golf chats make a good comp. He said, not that different. That's why I pulled up the Eddie there. Not that different than Blaine, the 3M Open. Decent comp. Obviously, we do not have POA greens up in Minnesota, but like a decent comp outside of the water. This is like 3M without the water.
Yeah, like so Detroit, right? Rocky Morgan.
Yeah. That's another good comp. It's just like, just get it down there and do some scoring, and and that's Tom Hoagie kind of thrived in those areas. So he's another one I like. There's some 44s. I haven't shopped around at all. I got to pull up more books.
Yeah, Hoagie's 50 on DraftKings.
There you go.
Yeah, but he is actually like 33, 40 in some other spots. So no problem with that as well. Same thing. I like Grillo. Grillo's pretty much 40 painted across the board. The domestics, he's taken a little bit of action. It looks like at MGM where he's down to 33, but no problem with Grillo. Form has been pretty nice. I know you were on him for matchups a lot down the stretch. So we do have a lot of like these Corn Ferry guys here too. Some guys, they've just got their card Justin Saw. We have, Taylor Montgomery. There's a handful of these guys that are, popping here. Those are stayaways for me. You could say that, some form. I definitely want to watch them, not stayaways during the swing season, but I still think there's enough proven class in this field that I would want to kind of wait and see. When you start to build, you're going to lean to distance because the rough is not really penal? Because guys like Trey Mullinex make a lot of sense to me, who played pretty well down the stretch, is a bomber. Obviously can get it down there. Pendrith too, though Pendrith is pretty short. I know Ron got that really early on Monday, and that number's moved quite a bit, but those guys are kind of catching my eye. Most of the guys that I'm looking at this week are a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to just fully lean there. Again, it's still just form. Form and then course fit. Adam Long is the guy I'm looking at. He's a little longer number. I mean, just some guys who have played well, have had some decent results, have not ejected. I just need someone who can play steady golf here, take advantage of the fives, not have blow up holes, and end up, somewhere in that 8 to 10 under come cut time, and they're going to be live. So, it's more of like your total game, your form, how you fit the course. I didn't really weight distance too heavily because you have seen over the years, there's guys that have won this tournament. There's guys that have placed plenty high that just don't have distance. They're able to do it with the long irons. So there's kind of two paths to this. It's just hit the piss out of the ball, and then Christ's sakes, you're a professional golfer. You should be able to hit a 75-yard wedge shot from the fairway, or hit your tee shot nicely, position yourself well, and you have good long irons into, again, resort course, soft greens. There's some undulations. The putting isn't easy, but both of those scenarios, if you do have good proximity from wherever you're landing, the putting shouldn't be too tough if you're inside 15 feet a lot. So I kind of look both ways, and again, haven't made any bets, excuse me. But there are some guys that have definitely piqued the interest. Mullinex, one of them. I don't know what the best price you saw on him was, but he is down to 50 at some shops.
60, circa DraftKings, points bet all at 60. But yeah, he's 42 on FanDuel. He's taking some action there for sure. So, we just liked, decent pedigree coming up, and we saw a little bit of that down the stretch, and his profiles well in spots where he can go driver heavy, and that's definitely something that can happen here. But to your point, look at Ches Reavie. Ches Reavie is like T33 or better here every year. Not a guy that we would ever profile as a guy that can hit it long. And I wouldn't get lost in any course history here for sure, because it is a resort course, to Andy's point. Like, I think anyone can go out here and get it, anyone that's teeing it up here. But, a third 2 years ago for Reavie, like he can show up and play here well if he's finding fairways and striking it too. So, other than Davis, I went way down, because when you look at what we've seen in the last decade or so in the first event to start the year, off of a little bit of rest, right? Again, this rest is like really minimal, because you'll find guys that are just taking 2-3 weeks off randomly in season anyway. So this isn't like a prolonged rest. Some of these guys, though, didn't necessarily make it to the Tour Championship, so they have a little bit of extended rest. But I took some shots down the board because I think that's kind of how we've seen it play out a little bit. Patrick Rogers is a guy that I am willing to burn money on fairly often for like a number of years now, since like maybe 2017. I have burned money on Patty, but California kid, we know he plays well on these swings pretty typically. He likes the California POA. Cold putter is not something we typically see from him, but that actually kept him from advancing to the St. Jude, made himself into the first round of the FedEx Cup playoffs, but couldn't advance. But really nice gains when you look like season over season for him last year. He basically in the last like 4 or 5 years has hovered between losing 0.4 and 0.5 strokes per round on approach. And he was positive last year, barely 0.09, but that was a pretty sizable gain on the guy that is kind of a little bit of a bomb and gouge guy. And now we get him on a course that I think fits him a little bit, and he likes these greens, and he can run pretty hot with the putter. So that was 110 on FanDuel. There's still some hundreds out there. There's a lot of 80s on Patrick Rogers, but be a guy that if you're looking at matchups or finishing position bets, I think he probably places pretty well here, better than I think some of his peers in the 110 market. So probably a guy worth a look for you, Andy, too, when you dig a little bit, see where he pops to, because he might get some nice matchups on Rogers.
Yeah, I don't have him terribly low. He's right there with Davis Riley and Emiliano Grillo. Yeah, another one that popped for me, Cameron Percy. He's a big number. It's more just form fits and decent enough on scoring. But yeah, I had a lot of guys near the top that it's like, shit, this guy's got a huge number. Am I just going to have a weird, it might just be I usually play like, and this is something I'm still evaluating for the season, but usually play like 3 units of outright bets. I may just bet like my normal half unit on Taylor Pendrith and then just fire like 10 long shots at like 100-1 because there's so many that are, it's like, all right, this guy has the path to do this. And then it's funny. It'll end up just Homo wins anyway. But yeah, like Hubbard, Lipsky, Spawn, Laird, Percy, Long, Streelman, Smalley, Neesmith. Like there's just too many names I have near the top. It's like, if I start just averaging stuff out, looking at who's coming across as the best average of all the numbers I'm running, it's like there's a lot of big numbers. And really, the short names is basically just, Connors and Homa, obviously, because of how well they played last season, but then Davis Riley as well. So Davis Riley and Pendrith are probably the only 2 short numbers I'm going to play at all. And then it's just bomb, and it's going to be small bombs, but I'm going to bet a bunch of bombs.
Yep. You mentioned one that I bet 100-1 on Alex Smalley. It was way off market too when you look at some of the other stuff that was out there. But Smalley I feel like Smalley's a guy that you definitely, whether you like outrights or you like finishing position bets, like I would take a top 5 or a top 10 on the Smalley. Like there is, when you look at his season, there is nothing in the middle on Alex Smalley. Like he was either in the top 20, sometimes flirting with the top 5, or he missed the cut. And this is not a guy that you need any form for as well. Basically, all of those nice performances on Smalley were most of them are like bookended with missed cuts. It's like he either missed the cut before, he missed the cut right after. So like this is not a form guy. Maybe it's a course that he likes, or if he finds these courses that he likes, that makes a lot of sense. Great ball striking. I have him 11th in the field over the last 36 rounds. Has shown to putt a little bit better. His best putting performances last year came at Pebble and Riv. So we know he likes California greens. So, 65 on DraftKings. I like the hundreds that are out there on Smalley. And then Svensson. Svensson's kind of
he's your guy.
Yeah, Svensson's he's also like the Ches Reavie this week too, right? He's the guy that like, if I'm wrong and distance doesn't matter, like Svensson's a guy that can just go fairway, ball strike the hell out of it. Hopefully he makes some putts and we're in the mix. 110s on Svensson.
Yeah. So, and same thing. I agree with the market move. Smalley should be like 66 to 70, 75. Yeah. There's a 110 out there still that I'm going to bet. Like it's going to be smaller bets, but Smalley shouldn't be over 100-1. There's a few guys I feel that way about. And I don't know, Cameron. I'm not sure I've ever placed an outright bet on Cameron Percy. I'm gonna have to look into what
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he made his way into the Discord last year on the outright bets.
But... No, I'm not sure. I don't think anyone on the squad has placed a Cameron Percy outright. I'm not sure I've ever. Maybe he's the only Cam I haven't bet on or against, but he's gonna get a look. So if you are a BetSports Golf member in the Discord. Again, I'm busy. I have to do another football show here at noon. I got a bunch of stuff to get ready for today and tomorrow. But at some point today, I will post all the bombs I come up with. I mean, I just listed off my short list. Probably going to be hunting down the best Taylor Pendrith number, which I don't know. What do you think that is right now? 20. It might be 25 because I might have just missed the boat on this.
30 on DK.
Okay.
That moved back because that definitely
28.
Was in 20s everywhere. Yeah, there's some 28s circa about 365. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna shoot. Yeah, just for because I always our stuff's behind a paywall and all that. But on this show, I always do give out my outrights for the most part because we're usually bet them at this point. But Taylor Pendrith, if I find better than 28, it's going on the card, and if I don't, I'm probably betting 28 anyway. And then the other one there, God, what did I say? Oh, Davis Riley. Davis Riley down to 33 at a lot of places. I think
see some 35s.
Maybe I can get a little better than that. If I can get 28, what are we doing there, Bovada? Get out of there with that. 30? Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some deeper digging. I'm gonna have to open a few more tabs than I normally do for this one, but probably not driving to Iowa for the Fortinet, so I might have that illegal. I tried to when I was in Vegas this past weekend, and I have a balance at Circa, and I brought it up to the counter. I'm like, because it wouldn't work. It's like I have the Iowa app. They're like, yeah, you can't use that here. You would have to withdraw it from your bank and put it. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, I have cash. I'm just gonna bet with cash then. Here we go. We'll bet that way. So I wanted to bet tennis, and I guess that money will just sit until I go to Iowa again. But not this week. I'll shop around for that. So my shorter ones, Pendrith and Riley, hopefully at 30 and 35, but as low as 28 and 33 for me. And then honestly, like Smalley for sure as a bomb. Neesmith for sure as a bomb.
Yep, that's your guy.
And then I'm gonna look at Long, Percy, Spawn, Lipsky, Hubbard, a couple other guys in that mix. Brendan Steele is 40-1.
I think it deals with course history. He won back-to-back in 16, 17. And
he's a guy I like, but I'm not betting him at like Davis Riley numbers.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it could be such a mess with the putter there. And I know the ball striking is great. And I'm sure he pops in your numbers as he does mine. But yeah, I'm not paying that price is too short for me for sure.
I posted it on the Twitter too, just because we are at the beginning of the season and we're recording this. Like, do you have who's your Scotty this year? Like, let's do that to close things out. Because I don't have a ton more to say on the Fortinet. I'll have my matchups. I'll have everything going once I get going. I'll get in the Discord. But
no, this is good conversation.
Yeah, who's your someone I brought up and if you do over at BetSports Golf, go leave your like pick to click for the year, and we'll come back and visit this in like August, and we'll have a good laugh at some of them, and we'll do some back patting if you nailed it. Someone said just like it's not fair to pick Cam Young, but I'm taking it. It's like, well, the guy hasn't won on tour yet. I mean, it's kind of like, and it wasn't the same situation, but like Homa and Scheffler, those guys were, everyone felt like it was going to happen. Same with Cam Smith, like felt like it was going to happen, but they still had to do it because we felt that way about Willie Z, and it took him till the damn playoffs to get the monkey off his back. Because I don't consider like just playing well and not winning a tournament. I don't consider that like a breakout. It's like, oh, you're good, but you still got to get a trophy in the case.
Yeah, this is tough, right? I have like one obvious like low-hanging fruit that I am pot committed to, who actually started to play really well at the end of last year, and it's Aaron Wise. It's got to be Aaron Wise. The kid delivered. Should be on that President's Cup team instead of friggin' Kevin Kisner.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I mean, Sahith, who's in this field, I think is probably a viable. I mean, that a Scotty step for him is a huge leap. Same thing when we saw like, I don't know, some of these guys that it's a little much like for them to like go to Scotty level, like world number one, all like favorite in tournament is a huge step. So like, I don't even think Wise does that, but I think Wise.
I'm not sure anybody takes that kind of like, no one's taking a Scotty step, but like that's a once in 5 or 10 years kind of thing.
I guess I think Wise can take a Homa step, right? Like Homa massively improved last year and was like, a lot of times he's, 40 and shorter in most books, can contend, will win and, win a couple times or get close to winning a couple times. So like, that's probably the step for him. But yeah, the Scotty step is like, that's insane. He was so incredible last year. And that we definitely felt like was coming. So like, I guess Homa is a guy that could make a Scotty step where he's kind of right there. We consider him one of like, the best 20, 25 in the world. And then can he get up to the spot where he's actually opening it shorter than 20 some weeks, depending on the board, other than like a swing season event like Fortinet. So who's the guy for you?
The easy ones just are the Cam Davis Riley. Like, honestly, I'm gonna Young, like those are obvious, but Taylor Pendrith too, and nobody's short shrifting him here. There's a lot of people that are taking him out, right? But the Canadian, he might be your top Canadian at the end of the year, and he might be a guy that's competing. Maybe he doesn't win something prestigious, but I think he might win one of these go win Phoenix, go win Detroit, go win one of these maybe Mexico or something like that. One of the tournaments where it's not like a major level field. Maybe he can compete at a few. I like him a lot. I like his game, and maybe a little lower down. Callum Tarrant.
Yeah,
this is a long, and maybe a guy I don't even love this week because he's been a little rough on the West Coast, and maybe that doesn't bode well for a good start to the beginning of the season. Made it. God, what was the name of what is the first leg of the playoffs?
St. Jude.
The St. Jude. Made it. St. Jude putted like shit. Putter is a little on and off at times, but had some nice results. Couple top tens at some easier events there in July. Played well at Rocket and Wyndham. Like, he's a guy I kind of am looking out for. Just really nice accuracy on his second shot. And driving distance is there. If he gets his driver a little more accurate, that's a bit of a problem. And he can putt with some consistency. He's a guy who could win on tour too. So Callum Tarrant.
I like it.
That's one of those two where if he's horrible, we just forget this happened. But if he's good, like I've got this timestamp written down, and Callum Tarrant. Oh, Andy called this last September. Jesus, who is this Oracle? Who's it? Andy Delphi? We're changing it to. That's my new Twitter handle. So Callum Tarrant, 2022-23 season champ. I'm putting him in the second round of the playoffs too.
I'm going to give you two of these Corn Ferry bombs. Taylor Montgomery, who is in this field. Actually, I think both these guys are in this field. Basically just rolled out of bed in T10 at the Corn Ferry last year. He's 50 here. It's way too short, but this kid is a little bit older. He's 27 at this point, which is like the same age as a Cam Davis. So like not super young. Just like Pendrith, who's, I think pushing 30.
Yeah.
Montgomery is, you can bomb it. We like those skills, those good putter, like good, just kind of baseline putter. And then I think he goes by Carl Yuan, the Chinese kid. I think I'm not going to butcher his actual name, but I think he goes by Carl. Another guy, similar profile, like great Corn Ferry year, hits it far, makes a ton of birdies, good approach game. I think these guys start to get in the mix and start to show themselves, maybe not, again, like looking for what we saw from Willie and Cam Young coming off of Corn Ferry. Like that's a little bit much, but like, I think these guys show up under names that we talk about a good deal of next year. So those are kind of guys to look at. I think it's Yu Chen. I will totally butcher that, but 25-year-old.
Not to be horrible and xenophobic, but the PGA Tour is mostly US based. I don't hate it when somebody from a different country who has a difficult name just takes just call me Carl.
Yeah,
just call me Tom.
Tom's
a lot easier. It's like that Mike Stanton. Remember, he did that until eventually he's like, fuck it, I'm a big star. You know what? I'm Giancarlo.
I'm going back.
Call me by my goddamn name. Like if you do it up, I'll call you whatever you want. But I do like it when it's like, fuck, I'm just Carl. Just call me Carl. Apparently they had Aquatine where he grew up, and he will be going by Carl. Carl and Tom. Those are your tough Asian players as we move forward. So good job by us to get through this, because it is the Fortinet, and boy, howdy, I'm probably not watching golf till Saturday. And even then, I think I have a lot of hunting. My honeydew list is long. I went to Vegas 2 weekends.
I'm sure.
I went in like 3.5 weeks. I went to Vegas twice. I took a family vacation, and boy, I am way behind on getting stuff done around the farm. So maybe watch some golf Sunday, see how those matchups are doing. And like I said, $1 a month gets you everything on the site. Ron writes a long course preview every week. You got to check that out. Ryan writes up a bunch of his bets. I'll have everything I bet in the Discord. It's all third-party tracked by our guy. What is that guy's name? Dan. There's just too many Dans at work. That's why
we got a lot of Dans.
Yep. Dan tracks everything on a third-party spreadsheet for everyone to watch. We all had everybody on the squad had positive winning years. We all hit at least 3-4 outrights. Ron had a bunch of first-round leaders.
Yeah.
He got unlucky with a shitload of chops. He should have made a lot more money on those. So looking forward to a really good 23 season. And with that, let's get back to prepping for football this week, huh?
Thanks, everyone.